measures adopted by the government to remove poverty or poverty alleviation programs. Now, in this, we have to see poverty di remove chele and shungi measures kari adopt cheyume. Okay, which can be also called as poverty alleviation programs. 5-year plan ki nanglo le and shungi measures kechembo adopt cheyore to remove poverty. So number 1 is Swarna Jayanti Gram Swarozgar Yojana. Now this one is to remove poverty from rural areas. Okay, so this is meant for rural areas. Swarna Jayanti Gram Swarozgar Yojana was launched in villages in April 1999. It replaced the earlier programs like Integrated Rural Development Program, Training of Rural Youth for Self-Employment, etc. Okay, so ngema di chable programs shamba dinzurik di chado budwa. Ta dinzurik di mewa swechene. Now they have come up with this yojana. Okay. Now what is happening in this yojana? Under this program, a large number of small enterprises were established in rural areas. So program din naule small enterprises ruwa rural areas naule established chigwa ta tsugore. The small enterprises were organized as individual enterprises as well as on collective basis as SHGs. That the small enterprises diya susu mi re regi ruwa enterprises di organized chigore yamena yang group ki ruwa de la SHGs lante ruwa. We have seen this before. So group ki yang kari chigore sana ya enterprises organized chigore. Okay, 2011-12 this scheme was restructured into National Rural Livelihood Mission. And chisu kari chiyore ya tanda this scheme di any change chiyore ta. Okay, restructure chiyore la bing the change chiyore into National Rural Livelihood Mission lamne. Second one dikharesha National Rural Livelihood Mission. This scheme is also known as Ajivika lagidwa. That digin nangla kari chungu yume in the first stage nangla phase nangla. This scheme was implemented in 150 districts in the year 2012-13. Okay, that chisu this scheme the expand chadwa to another 150 districts by 2014-15 nangla. And 2016-17 ki end la again the scheme data bet kora expand chada chane it was extended to the whole of the country ta kangza chadi gudwa la and scheme the extend chare la gosh. Okay, now National Rural Livelihood Mission is expected to provide ta di laga kharchi yume self-employment re so laga chea rwa to 90 lakh persons la. This program is now renamed as Deen Dayal Antyodaya Yojana. Then we have Sampurna Gramin Rojgar Yojana. It was launched on 1st September 2001. Jawahar Gram Samriddhi Yojana and Employment Assurance Scheme were integrated into single Yojana. So September 2001 nangole di start che dwa Yojana che and di nangole tanda scheme ni jikchegudu Jawahar Gram Samriddhi Yojana che Employment Assurance Scheme Dinzu rikdi ta yojana chik nanglo le suesha. Rwa integrated joint chene chik nanglo le suyo re la kwa. And objectives di karicha rubudu yojana digaji employment opportunities stay to surplus workers. Workers surplus yor wa dinzu lata employment opportunity chikteya and to focus on the development of regional economic and social conditions and to focus on the development of infrastructure. So very simple, this yojana has set a target of creating 100 crore man days for labor. The biggest target the digams creating 100 crore man days for labor chedo. Lega chedo chadu however, it has now been subsumed in tati chisukari chunaresana and Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act nanglole ta subsume che ta di nanglole ta lukshe relashine tigire ta chisu ruwa de chikche. Then we have Pradhan Mantri Gramodaya Yojana. Tadi launched 2001 nangole chadiore miyu dikharesha improving the living standard of the rural people by developing 5 important areas. Tadi rural areas chedu chadu gore rural areas nangla people gi living standard di improve chele ta areas khanga chigyore ruwa dinole ta develop chia such as health, primary education, drinking water, housing, and road. It incorporated 3 projects. Project Sumtsugor Dalawar. Pradhan Mantri Gram Sarak Yojana focus dikharesha all weather road build by 2007. Natsawa in all the villages having population of 500 persons or more. Okay, so village dinzu nanglole population ngapya chi yamena more dinzu gi nanglole by 2007 la ruwa di village nanglole ta road built chadigidwa. Then BD Pradhan Mantri Gramin Awas Yojana che and Pradhan Mantri Gramin Drinking Water Yojana. Ta dinsu sum di rwa and di natsudu gwara Pradhan Mantri Gramodaya Yojana nawala rwa. Then Jai Prakash Rozgar Guarantee Yojana. The scheme seeks to provide guaranteed employment in most backward districts of the country. Tadi employment lega di guaranteed chadu gwar guarantee lega chi radu gware rwa and backward areas chadu rwa. Swarna Jayanti Shahari Rozgar Yojana. Tadi December 1, 1997 nangole launch chere Nehru Rozgar Yojana and Prime Minister Integrated Urban Poverty Education Program has been merged with this Yojana. So that dini chitwa dini merge chene yojana dinawla merge chere la wata. The objective of this yojana is to provide self-employment. Yeah, susu employment. Chaya ondi chadu budwa miyudi or wage employment to urban unemployed. The employment chikte chadu budwa to urban city nawdenge unemployed nzula or underemployed persons. It includes the following 2 programs: urban self-employment programs and urban wage employment programs. Of the total expenditure of this project, 75% is borne by the central government and the remaining 25% by the state government. That is a project the state government as well as central government nigagi doson tangidwa. Ani central government gi manga chati gore, state government gi nyunga chati gore. Okay. Then Prime Minister's Rozgar Yojana. This scheme the educated unemployed la employment chi provide che chi to chadi gore. And loan de gore up to 1 lakh for opening his own enterprises. That's also the business. Rwa open che che do and becomes chick loan chick provide chikore and activities chimbala 2 lakh provide chikore loan. Development of small and cottage industries. So again, small and cottage industries develop chele and shungi special measures chik layore miyudi poverty remove chere unemployment. Poverty remove chagino poverty da unemployment ni jawa yorwa. Unemployment di never sutumna obviously poverty di remove chagirwa. Okay, so cottage and small industries spread chadi bore. Okay, then minimum needs program. Tadi kharcha tugudu poor gi living standard di improve chedu minimum needs program di launched chere during the 5th plan. Okay, the program covers primary education, adult education, rural health, rural water supply, rural roads, village or rural electrification, talodarik electricity chadiborwa, housing and environment improvement of the urban slums labidowa. Okay, so the program now that provide chia lagor. This is expected to improve the quality of life of poorer sections of the society. The dichedure minimum needs program di. Then we have 20 points program. Okay, so I will be quick in this. 20-point program was launched on 14th January 1982. Redwa with a view to eradicate poverty, remove poverty lagorwa. Now quickly, 20-point program we will see. Number 1, increase in irrigation capacity. Second one, increase in the production of pulses and oilseeds. 3, extension of integrated rural development program and national rural employment program. Number 4, fixation of ceiling on land holdings. Ceiling is the size of land that a person can own. So land kazuschik, land ki size kazuschik, whole che chuguyume the fixed chair. Then 5th one, minimum wages to agricultural workers. 6th one, rehabilitation of bonded labor. Bonded labor nzula kunzulata we can say healthy life chiteto be chedu rwa ani rehabilitation chair, expansion of SC and ST programs. Then we have drinking water in villages. Next, number 9, provision of houses in rural areas, improvement of slum areas, development of power capacity, then development of forest and gobar gas. Then we have family planning. 14, setting up of primary health centers. 15, welfare program for women and children. Then we have primary education for children between 6 to 14 years. Then we have expansion of public distribution system and fair price shop, ration shops. Then we have simple industrial policy. Then we have checking of generation of black money. Then we have efficient management of public sector industrial units. Okay, so these are 20-point programs for eradicating poverty. Then we have Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act. Now this act is a bit important. Okay, Now we will see under this act all those who are willing to undertake unskilled manual work at the minimum wage are offered employment for a minimum period of 100 days. The act din nanglo le people nzo rwa manual work labdi kabla hand ki lega chia la rwa ani unskilled rwa skilled mego min zo yor wa tin su rikti ani lakwa ki lega chia la gore and dian la nyunu chikala rwa ani chende yona lega chende yona kunzula ani employment offer chikore for period kazuresha 100 days chedu. Those seeking employment are to report in those rural areas where the employment program is being launched. The employment lega goyona lega the district goyona rwa and rural areas mixe tanda rwa areas kawala employment program de launch cheyona on the report chere. This program is becoming extremely popular in rural areas. That the popular chadi usare. According to one estimate, the total number of individuals who have benefited from this program has risen from 6.22 crore in 2014-15 to 7.77 crore in 2018-19. Okay, so then now let's see that means it shows that people have benefited from such programs. Wow. Then 12 micro units development refinance agency bank labdwa Mudra Bank. Now government geti bank they set up chere April 2015 nangole objectives dikharesha credit need loan tere small enterprises micro enterprises labdwa and dinangshi any susu lega startup chigidwa self-employed persons tinzula credit tere chidure the din nanglo le under Mudra Yojana nangle a micro enterprise is entitled for a loan up to rupees 10 lakh per unit. The small enterprises chikirwa tanda di yojana din nanglo le any loan tigidwa loan kazus badu len tupu yume len chogu yume lagwa 10 lakh badu chadi gore. Okay, so these are the poverty alleviation programs, or we can say measures adopted by the government in eradicating poverty. The number of poor in India. There is a concept, head count ratio. Now this one we have seen before. Now what is this head count ratio? As I said before, head count ratio is also called as poverty incidence ratio. So it means percentage of population below poverty line is called as head count ratio. Okay. So see, when the number of poor is estimated as the proportion of people below the poverty line. Okay. So the population chiyorwa below poverty line wala legi yuna then tilakari labingutu head count ratio lagutuwa. Now the nanglole what we have to see is India nanglole rwa poor person kazus yume kunzu kawala reside chigi yume kawala digi yume and ngemani chene tanda badu rwa numbers di decline chadu chamindu rwa poor people ki number di decline chadu chamindu. This we have to see here. Okay, now see here, this is very important. The official data on poverty ki kala rwa data rwa chigyorwa is made available to the public by Planning Commission. Planning Commission ki kari chigiresana poverty ki kala data chigyorwa the public lama available sigore. Okay, the data disu ki collect chigiyume da And the organization chiki collect chigire, which is called as National Sample Survey Organization. Okay, right? So the organization ki data collect chigire on the basis of what? Consumption expenditure. Doson khazus tangi yume. Okay, expenditure khazus chigi yume for consumptions chidu. So see here, it is estimated on the basis of consumption expenditure data collected by the National Sample Survey Organization. Okay, so Planning Commission ki poverty ki data chikiorwa on the mixe National Sample Survey Organization ki data collect chikiorwa on the basis of what? Expenditure, consumption ki kala expenditure khazus chikime. Di kala base shanerwa and poverty estimate chigore lagor. Okay. Now chart is given. Various charts are given here. Alright. Okay. Now chart dinzo nangole kari show chigi yume rwa. So we can quickly see here. Chart 4.3, this one, right? Shows the number of poor and the proportion to the population in India for the years 1973 to 2000. Okay. So this one. Trends in poverty in India from the period 1973 to 2000. So see here, number of poor here. It's given here. Head count ratio in percentage it is given here. And the description is provided here. The delateur. In 1973-74, more than 321 million people were below the poverty line. Okay, in 1999-2000 this number has come down to about 260 million. In terms of proportion, in 1973-74, about 55% of the total population was below the poverty line. Roata percentage time dukabla dikam shicha digidwa 99-2000 it is fallen to 26%. So that means nyungruchindwa. In 1973-74, more than 80% of the poor resided in rural areas. And 1999-2000, this has come down to about 75%. Again, reduced chadwa. This means that more than 3/4 of the poor in India reside in villages. So that means poor mangadi mangshidi and village nalchadi gore. Also, poverty which was prevailing predominantly in rural areas had shifted to urban areas. Tachisukari chungsha. Rural areas nangole poverty. It has shifted to urban areas nangole chadigota. 1990s, absolute number of poor in rural areas had declined. That means absolute poverty we have seen people or percentage of population who are below the poverty line. So in rural areas now, whereas number of their urban counterparts increase marginally. Marginally slightly lower. That means rural areas now poverty the whereas urban now slightly increased. The poverty ratio declined continuously for both urban and rural areas. From chart 4.3, you will notice that during 1973-2000, there has been a decline in the number of poor and the proportion, but the nature of decline in the two parameters is not encouraging. Okay, the ratio is declining much slower than the absolute number of poor in the country. Now, state lingi yuna state nangola ruwata mangshi poverty di kawala chadigi yume. Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Madhya Pradesh, West Bengal, and Orissa. 70% of India's poor di the dinzo state nangola chadigi duwa. 1973-74 nangole, half of the population in most of these large states was living below the poverty line. Chadigidwa. 1999-2000, two states, that is Bihar and Orissa, were left near that same level. Da mangshichi chadigidwa dini nangole. Though they also reduced their share of poor compared to other states, their success is marginal. That poor di tanda saja din nangole nyung ruchin yo re la gosh. Yina ya state champanyam to comparison che yung di kabla kwanatsugi success di, that means poor reduction. Poverty di nyung tanya che success di marginal la go ta. Nyung ta success nyung slight reduction ji chadi yo re la gosh. Gujarat nangol de yung di kabla it reduced its people below the poverty line from 48% to 15%. Becomes stigma reduction chung yo re la gwar during 73-2000 nangole. The period in nangole, West Bengal has been just as successful from nearly 2/3, that is 63% of the population below poverty line. The same was reduced to about 27%. So West Bengal nangolaya successful achieve shethuwa, right, in reducing poverty. Okay, so this is state shison letana and poverty ki netan de kandes yometi kola share. Okay, so this is just a story regarding wa Indian nangole mix it under rural and urban nangole poverty ki netan kandes yome, as well as wa state ki nangole ya ani differences poverty gi khala ani deyung di kabla and differences chikle yung. So it is just a brief dichati information. Okay, so I want you to remember the meaning of head count ratio, and then poverty ki data di public la available swing di planning commission chati kore. Then National Sample Survey Organization ki collect data di on the basis of consumption expenditure. Okay.